Studying about investments, it's a good or a bad thing? The problem is not studying. Studying is always good. You trying to achieve more knowledge, to get more knowledge for yourself about the markets or about other things, it's always a good thing. The problem is not studying or not. The problem is the way that you think about the study. If you think when it comes to investments that studying it's going to remove uncertainty, this is the problem. When I was in 2019, I was finishing a construction and I thought about starting investing in the stock market. And then I took an entire year to study the market and really get to know what I was entering. And I was, in a certain way, I was very humble in my positioning because I really thought that I that I was entering in a very dangerous scene and that I need to be careful. But on the other hand, I also thought that I was very smart and that I was able to beat the market. What happened was that with time, the more I study, the more I understood that it would be impossible for me to beat the market in the way that I want. And which way was that? I thought that I would that I could be capable of extracting money for the market in a very precise way. For example, daily. I thought about day trade at the beginning, then swing trade. Then I understood after a certain time, um, after failing in day trading, I understood that wouldn't be possible to extract money with that certainty. But I try other things, swing trade, stock picking, lots of strategies, options, lots of things. The problem is, and I was studying every and each one of these subjects. I devote a lot of time to studying the subjects. I wasn't working at the time, and I stayed the entire day trying to invest and studying. And it was very good for me because I went to a completely different area, different from what I was used to, that is construction. And it was very good. But when I think in perspective, I really think that I was lucky because I didn't lose much money because I thought, oh, I need to make this work with little money and then I will put more money. And then I never make it work with little money, you know? So for me, was really difficult. And we need to understand that talking about this is different from talking about knowledge in other areas. For example, if you want to study music, to play an instrument, If you want to study another language, then as a hobby, the more you study, the better. You are going to acquire more knowledge and it's going to be very good for you. The problem is when we are talking about the markets, you may think that you are going to be able to predict what is going to happen. For example, the market cycle. It's possible to, if you study, it's possible to understand the cycle. But understanding is different from predicting. For example, when the COVID-19 hits, the markets were very low. And for anyone who understands the cycle, you could invest at that moment because the stocks were, let's say, on sale. They were at a very good price. And this was a good strategy. And the problem is not a strategy as simple as this one that I'm referring to. The problem is when you try to do sophisticated things thinking that you are going to make money fast. Or let's think about this. Maybe you are going to bet against the market because you believe that the market is going to go to lower and lower standards. This is the problem, you know. If you think about what I'm telling you right now, these are two very different perspectives. The guy who just bought stocks at that moment and wait, he was using the knowledge in a good way because he thought, oh, I don't know how long this is going to take. So I will keep buying because it's always good and now prices are very good. And I will wait. If I need to wait 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, no problem. On the other hand, the other guy who was trying to predict what the market was going to do, this one was doing a very dangerous thing. And you know something? Another part is this: it is very addictive or addicting. I believe that addictive would be better. It is very addictive. I remember when I was day trading, I was winning most of the days. And the feeling was very, very good. I was very excited, you know. Oh, I discovered a way to really make money. Because as you study, you are going to do the right move most of the times. But you need to acknowledge that it's impossible to do the right move always. And at certain moments, you are going to do the wrong move and then you are going to lose everything that you made. And the problem is this. For example, if you think, oh no, I will study very hard, I will study the whole time, and then I will discover something that other people don't know. I will reach a level that nobody reached. and then I will be able to predict what is going to happen. This is the problem. And is it interesting because when you look to guys like Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, this kind of guy, these old guys that have been investing for decades, you notice that the way that they think is very calm. It's very, it's a way that you notice that they have humility, humility, that they are humble. You talk, you talk with them, and you see that they don't think that they are able to predict anything. You know, so we really need to think about this. You know something? One of the maybe one of the best things for us to study it is human psychology, to think about your own decisions. How are you able to support, to endure risk? How are you going to react emotionally to the movements of the market? For example, let's take my case here. I'm thinking about this right now. In Brazil, the real estate, when you receive money from real estate, when you receive rent, you need to pay um, taxes for the government. These taxes can be up to 27%, depending on the value that you receive. And for example, one of the things that I struggle with is if I should sell my real estate and invest in stocks, because if you invest in stocks or REITs, um, you don't have to pay anything here. So I believe that this is a good idea, but I don't know exactly how I would react if my entire portfolio was in stocks and REITs. Here in Brazil, we call them another. They are called FIIs, FIIs. So I don't know how I would react in the future. I'm really thinking about doing this because as you get old, uh, uh, I don't want to deal, for example, with maintenance, dealing with um, taking care of the everything that you need to take care in the real estate. It would be better for me to put everything in the market. But I will need to find a way to do this in a very structured way. And I need to think about my reactions, the way that I will feel. Because you see, real estate is something very solid. It's a real thing that you are able to to see that exists in the real world. And if I invest everything in the market, I will exchange that for just a number in a screen. Can I handle that in a good way? Or it is going to stress me more than the real estate portfolio? It's something that I struggle with and that I need to understand, especially because in the reality today, I really believe that is a very good strategy, especially here in Brazil, because you are going to avoid taxes. And when you think about 27% of taxes in the entire amount that you receive per year, it's something huge. So you really need to think about this. So to close, to wrap this up here, studying is always good. Understand the markets. The more you understand them, the better. The problem is the way that you think about this. If you think in a humble way, knowing that the market is too big for the human mind to grasp its entirety in one look, then it's a good way. If you think that you are the guy that are going to beat the market and that you are too smart, then that you are the new Warren Buffett, then you are thinking the wrong way. Actually, if you think that you are the new Warren Buffett, this could be a good strategy, because if you study what he teaches, you are going to perceive that he was very humble. For example, day trading is something that do not exist in Warren Buffett's world. All right, my friends, this is all that I have for you today. Thank you all for tuning in, and I see you in the next video.